Everybody rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Westergaard.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Stenkamp.
Yes.
Everybody here for public forum? Okay, consent agenda. Any additions or corrections?
Just so, actually was a building permit, that building permit for Kyle Mathias. Kyle Mathias, he's just putting a deck on the front of his house. Anyway, that was still posted in the appropriate time, so that would just be added to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mulder.
Yes.
Stenkamp.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Okay, we have 2 building permits.
And one for Kyle
One
Mathias.
for Matthias. Motion to approve those 3.
Has Eric signed off on them?
Yes.
Because
Yep,
in the
he
packet
signed
it
off on all.
wasn't signed off.
You're good, right, Eric?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Frank.
Yes.
Mulder.
Yes.
Stenkamp.
Yes.
City administrator report.
Just a couple things. First thing on the list there is just an update about pickleball. And we have a couple members of our pickleball committee here too. But just a couple things from the memo where it talks about the sidewalks. We'll talk about that here in a second. For the fence, there's just some padding that goes on the top of the fence that has been ordered but yet to be installed. There will be a bottom rail added to the fence for stability, and then a rubber weed barrier placed under the fence. Those two, and I still need a proposal from the fence company about what the additional cost would be. Shade structure was to be delivered today. Did we get anything big delivered at the shop?
I did not see any.
Nope. Shade structure will be delivered shortly. And then Bruce would do the installation of the footing underneath that also. Picnic table placed under the shade, 2 concrete benches, bench pads, concrete garbage can, and then 2 security cameras. We
No
flipped it.
light poles yet either, Scott.
Okay. Flip to page 6, that shows just cost estimate on where we are. Again, wait for a quote on the bottom fence and the rubber, but the other costs are pretty solid. So we have revenues at a little over 101, and anticipated expenses right now about 96,000. You can flip back to page 5. There was the biggest discussion yet was about the location of the sidewalk, and the pickleball committee and Eric was down there, and we all met together about this proposal that has the sidewalk coming out to intersect the existing sidewalk on the right side of the picture there, at a point to the right side of that tree. And when we had talked originally, it would have been to the left side of the tree, so it doesn't have quite as dramatic of a bend to the north in that. But what that does is allows for those 2 bench pads then to be basically centered on each one of the pickleball courts then, and be north of those of that sidewalk. See the shade over there between the pickleball court and the splash pad. And I'm interested in any comments.
Lon said that's where to put the sidewalk also. Couldn't make the bend, wasn't it?
It makes the bend would be yeah, pretty tight if we had go to the left side of that tree. And like I said, the committee was down there and went through this discussion about the location. That's their preferred location.
Would he pan out the end of that new sidewalk so that
Yeah.
people riding a bicycle or whatever wouldn't be cutting across?
So yeah, these sidewalks, for the most part, they all have radiuses on them. They were talking about, I think the one from the shade to the other sidewalk doesn't have much of a radius, but everything else does. And we would intend to to proceed. Everything's actually coming along down there pretty well.
Is this
It looks
basically
nice.
the last of then what's gonna be for the pickleball?
Those items that are listed there, yeah. We gotta get the lighting in and everything also. Jeff got the conduit in for
Yeah,
the power.
we put conduit in before Lon got in there, so we got conduits we can pull our wire through. So as soon as the base and the poles get here, we can start on putting them in.
You have one other thing, that today, the city received a notice of violation from the Iowa DNR, and this is in regards to drinking water. This violation is a monitoring violation. So, as far as failing to do some monitoring, it's a unique situation where our old permit would have us test for a couple of things. Trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids, and those tests need to be done once a year. Okay, we would take one test and send it to the lab, and everything would be fine. Had a new permit between last year and this year, and what they did was change the number of testing sites to 2. Okay, we took our one test and submitted that, but we were to have taken 2, and we did not know about that. We had not told our lab about that to make sure that it was done. So we'll get a monitoring violation on this. So really, that just involves some public notification about the monitoring violation.
When the 2 labs, the one lab we used to use up Storm Lake, they would automatically look at a new permit. They would already have it. Cherokee does not. You have to take it up there. We did not take it up there because we assumed that they would do it just like other labs, and that's why when we got our bottles to take this test, they were looking on our old permit, and so they only gave us enough to do the 1 sample. And then we got this today and figured out we needed 2 samples. So
There's no money fine or anything.
No, right now, we'll have to do some public notice, and that'd be a little embarrassing more than anything else.
Is that it?
The Iowa League of Cities Conference is next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so I plan to go to that. And I think I'll take the day off on Friday. Gotta go pick up my wife at campground.
Very good. The pickleball gals, do you want to say anything? Thanks for all the work you've done, of course.
Well, I'll just make a quick comment. I've played up there 3 times, and it's great. We were there on Friday morning, ladies playing Friday morning, and it had rained. And so we were curious to see what the surface was gonna be like. And we were careful, because we're old, we don't wanna fall. But there was no water pooled there, and it was not slippery at all. So, a little positive news, it's always a good thing.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all the work you've done.
Yes.
I enjoy watching you from the road, but I'm not gonna walk up, so we're okay.
Well, we'll get you out there with the paddle.
Oh, goodness no. Okay, well, ordinance 523, and this is our first reading of the fences. Is the fence
This
committee
would
happy?
be the first reading. Yeah, so there was just another change to the ordinance that was on your seat tonight. And you see I highlighted that the or be electrified section is highlighted. Previously, that was struck out, so we were initially going to strike that out and have some additional regulation to it. But, so what we did with that section that was amended then, and changed from last time to this time, specifically says it only applies to a garden fence. So there is still a prohibition then on electric fences then everywhere else. Okay, so that's the way that the proposed ordinance would read.
We have a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Moller,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Thanks to the fence committee, I know you met many times.
Shopping.
I'm not good with English and law stuff.
Okay, we're gonna go on to the sewer. Jeff, you were there the day Dean was gone, but Jeff was there when we opened it up. Tell him to tell the council what we found.
We cut out the panel Dean had called located in, and
painted what panel he wanted out. We took that panel out and we used our vac, hydrovac, what they call them, but we potholed down and we found a clean out with a concrete stake, metal stake in the center of it. And the top riser part was laying off to the side of the spoils where it was broke. Clay tile, don't take none of the break clay. My assumption is when our contractor was there doing the grade and whatnot for this street, they obviously found it and knew it was there, but, or didn't know it was there, but anyways, that's what we found. Tommy and Austin and Trent and I, we exposed the sewer each way, east and west, a ways. Took the stake out, we run our wand in there with water, and we're able to pull. I mean, they went and tried one time, pulled our jetter back. I mean, it come right back out. So I don't know if it was wedged up against that stake or if it was the dirt and pieces of clay that fell in and it was wedged up against. But as soon as we loosened that up, she came right back out. What we did was, and I sent pictures to the mayor and Scott. I still have these pictures, and Dean. And Dean was at a class, so we kept him in the loop. And what we decided to do is we couldn't leave it that way. So we cut out the clay and put in fern cones and a piece of PVC, and then put another T-section in and brought a riser up. So that clean out is now there. We have not concreted the hole back yet, but that's our next step. Is it working better, Angela? Because I haven't heard anything since we've been.
Yeah, I have no
So-
water backup since you guys been there.
So
But the
that's
stake-
what we found.
The stake from the concrete guys was down in there too, so they knew it.
Somebody put it in there.
Yeah.
Somebody dropped down the original clean out of at some point.
And didn't bother to get it back out of there.
No,
But we didn't know the cleanout was there
no.
originally anyway. So,
As a city, no, we weren't aware there was a clean out there that I know of.
but the bottom
That's what
line
we
is our
found.
contractor did the damage.
But we put a clean out back in and it will be there. It's got a lid that'll say sewer on the top of it. You get to that point, which is helpful for our sewer guys. Because when we jet that back up, they can open that lid and see that they're getting close to that point and back out before they get caught in Angela's
Into the
stack.
90 and stuff that's already there.
So,
So what are the total damages that we have?
I have from Carl, I have, December 3rd of 18 was 200, and then he came back on January 2nd of 18, I had a bill for 150, and then I do not have 19 and 20 return checks, but I have $200 from 7/6/21, and then Greg charged me $331.70, and Riley Payson charged me $133.75.
And you're still waiting on a bill from Black Squirrel?
That is here.
Oh, you got that,
Yeah,
all right.
that's the $331.70. And I asked Carl for 19 and 20, but he's old man paperwork, so he didn't want to go back and try to find them.
I guess I would want council action on this, but, just under the normal situation, the service line is the homeowners out to the main. And we get these questions from time to time about this, so I certainly just don't want the city staff making decisions on this, but it is a truly unique circumstance where, this happens at no fault of Angela's. My only other question would be whether you'd see any benefit in filing a insurance claim for it, maybe get $1,000 back.
What's our deductible? Yeah,
Yeah.
deductible.
On liability is no deductible.
I would make a motion to reimburse Angela for her expenses, and I don't know if it's worth effort to try and file an insurance claim if it's gonna affect us down the road?
I would
For the
second that
small-
motion though.
Well, we'll go ahead and pay, and,
Doesn't hurt to
we'll be
ask.
over to see Summer tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Won't hurt to ask and see what it affects.
We have a motion and a second, roll call.
Okay, Frank,
Yes,
Moller.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry for all your troubles, Ann.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was there a few times. Okay, we have a new volunteer from the P and Z.
Yeah, Jessica Meredith has applied for the one open seat on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Term would expire June 30 of 27.
Motion to approve that.
So
appointment.
move.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Moller,
Yes.
Stankham.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
We want to talk about the Lake Shore Drive project.
Yeah, you wanna talk about that a little more, Terry, and that cost estimate that you had, and,
Okay, I saw it. Cost estimate here. What we put together today. Sorry, I didn't get that sent to you. I didn't get put together for Wayne.
It's always better to wait than to.
See ya. Good night.
And I do have the drawing here if you want to look at it again. From the discussion that we had at the site, it sounds like there might be a few things that need to be added. I think you need to decide about the wall. And how far, I can get a cost estimate on actually going back to remove that wall back into the paving that was done the last time and fixing the whole length of that. Or I can actually do it in phases. The property owner that's concerned about it, I could get an estimate just for doing his and give you some options.
Because we may have more if we have the community, or the homeowners meeting, or they're all gonna dictate to us what they want.
I guess I would strongly advocate we'd have a neighborhood meeting sometime, because the project really affects those neighbors, and it affects everybody about how they can travel down that road. Timing on the project that we had talked initially, hopefully we're still on board with this, Terry, is the notion that we can get a bid here, fall and winter, and get it out for construction with the completion date of Memorial Day. And that'd be pretty aggressive in the springtime. But if that road's tore up during summertime, that'd be really inconvenient to them. So we would propose to have it done by Memorial Day.
But it's a pretty small section of the street, so it shouldn't take a whole lot of time, would it, to tear it
No,
out?
I'd be a little more concerned with the water main, like Mike pointed out. I think I want to get with Dean on the water main, make sure that's in good enough shape that it's going to last underneath that new paving. We don't want to put in new paving when there's something that needs replaced in the near future, so.
If we're having issues, we certainly want to do it, but if we're not having issues, that's up to you guys to figure it
Well,
out.
I'd camera that sewer,
camera
just
it.
see if there's anything wrong
Anything
with
at
it.
all, and
Doesn't hurt, because if you put cement on top of it and you have a jagged piece or something like that, just see how, it's cracked up above, just anything that could possibly be harmful in the future.
3-4 years down the road.
you're handling the sewer there, but the water main, is that, what type of materials underneath that? Guessing, I mean.
If I'm just guessing, it's probably cast, and it could be 2-inch, like, I'd say that piece up there. I believe in the map, it's not 4-inch, then it does stop. I don't have the map in front of me. You'd only be able to do a part of it, excuse me, because of
The new construction on the other end, 5 years ago,
side
yeah.
is, already done.
That's something that probably should have been looked at 5 years ago.
I mean, if you tear it out, excuse me, if you tear it out, when you tear out the street, pothole down to it, get a good idea what it looks like, you know for sure.
We do have the water line located on the plan. I don't know if you can see it in black and white drawing, but,
So Terry, if we have a meeting with all the homeowners, are you available for that?
yes. On, Scott's talked to me about coming up on the
Oh,
first,
okay.
at like 9 o'clock or Saturday morning.
I guess, yeah, I wanted to do this on a Saturday. We'd send out a notice to the neighborhood here quickly in the next day or two. We'd actually send them out a notice. Make sure that everybody's aware of this time. At least they have their opportunity to know what's going on and their opportunity for input. And with that, though, I sure would encourage the mayor and council members to be able to be available that morning too if possible.
Probably won't be on a Iowa State game then.
Why would it be on October 1st?
That's KU.
I say Iowa State does not play at home.
No, it's not at
So it's a
home,
good
but it's
day.
gonna be pretty critical. They're playing a lot better.
Yes.
Okay. That'll
I
work.
think, I don't know what time that game is. But
Oh.
we'll be done.
Go ahead. Dean, on checking this water main before the streets tore out, is there any way we can do this so that we're all in front of this situation? You know,
Yeah, I'd have to cut a section out and then,
but it's gonna be winter time and
yeah.
fill it with rock and there
That'd
shouldn't be
be
no
fine.
problem back there, should it?
No.
I mean, it's not highly traveled in the winter time.
Just plowing snow.
Can you run
Plowing
You
snow,
know,
but-
you're gonna pull some of that gravel.
Right.
Hopefully, nobody complains that you're pulling gravel in their yard
We
or.
keep it a couple inches lower than the paved part and.
No, even, cause you don't wanna hit that with anything and boom, break stuff.
If you get it packed in before we really start getting weather.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll be pretty good,
Yeah.
really, but.
Do we need to have it cambered before October 1st? Is that our plan?
I don't know about before October, I mean, anytime really before the project,
Okay.
you know.
They don't have to.
Cause October first is just the citizens
Right,
talking.
just citizens, yeah.
But we can get, I can get somebody there to camera it and find some other areas in town that need cameraing, so it's not a
A one-shot deal.
one little
Yeah.
half block deal.
But the more information we have at the meeting with landowners,
Correct.
some of them will be happier, I guess. Not all of them.
I am, and I'm real interested in everybody's thoughts on that Denny Garles property then, about the, we're talking with Denny about the wall, and whether we would look at replacing that wall.
See what kind of cost there is to it.
I guess what I've asked Terry for is to get us, his cost on replacing that, get us cost on replacing that for Garles, and then a cost estimate for the property to the north. So we'll have that, and I'll probably have that number. We won't get together as a council before that neighborhood meeting, but we'll have that number.
Okay, sounds good, Terry.
So I'll work on that and stay in touch
That's
with
Scott. Yep.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks.
Thanks for coming out to the
Okay, resolution 2226, entering into a solid waste and recycling contract with Dutch Sanitation.
Right. So, a couple things. Then on that. Just a couple of the things that I had highlighted that I just wanted to at least make sure everybody was aware of. And we talked with Robbie about this, about, so item number 5 there still does have, so I'm on page 10, item number 5 still does have two-time collection during the summer. So that's actually in our code, so we would require that to remain.
Have you been doing that?
Without pay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
As part of the contract.
I don't pay attention on Thursday and Friday. Is that when you do it?
On Friday.
On Friday, the whole town on Friday?
There's like 6 bags are out. It's not just me.
Whitey's one of them.
Yeah, how about
Yep, that's one of them.
Okay.
And the motel gets it on
Because
Friday too.
I guess I haven't seen it lately. You know, years ago, it used to be busy on, your Monday and Tuesday and Thursday and Friday.
Yep,
But you're done on Friday because after Labor Day, we don't do that, right?
right, yep, Memorial Day to Labor Day is
Right.
what we always did. By seeing that contract, it was, what was it, Scott?
Just
First,
months, June, July, August, I think.
yeah,
June 1st through August 31st.
right.
A couple other things, so I'm at item 7 on page 11, where this talks about recyclable collection. So that the collector, so that's Red, collects recyclables, and they're set aside from the garbage in bins or bags which identify them as recyclable. We do not require that they use a city blue bin, okay? Just so long as it somehow it differentiates itself from the garbage, okay? So they don't need to use a city blue bin. The city shall provide recycling bins to customers as described by separate policy. And our separate policy is right now, for new customers, we provide the first one, and then for any existing customers who need to replace theirs or whatever, be at their cost, they would pay our cost, which is currently $30 per bin.
And we talk about a new customer. What happens if the homeowner leaves their recycling bin there? Hopefully they don't ask for another one? I mean, are you gonna offer it?
A new customer is a new customer. And if there happens to not be one at the home when they're moving in, we would provide one.
Are you gonna ask that customer, do you have a recycling bin? Or are you just gonna give them a recycling bin?
And we'll, kind of the other way around, they'll have to ask for it.
Okay.
He's pretty good about that, I'm gonna tell you.
Well, I was just gonna clarify that, you know, I left my bin at my old house, you know, when I
Right,
moved
sure.
out, and I kept the ones that Rain had before we knocked the house down, so I still have 2, because I knocked 2 houses down.
Okay, item number 11 on page 11. So this establishes the maximum amount then for each stop. So that folks can set out 3 30-gallon bags or containers per stop. Okay, each 30-gallon container weighing no more than 50 pounds. And we're relying on the collectors to know what 50 pounds is.
Are you going to leave a 4th bag if they put it out? Or are you gonna kinda notate it if it's habitual?
Right.
Okay.
As a rule, if it's just 1, 2 bag, we just grab it and go, move on. Now, if they've got a truckload every single week when we stop,
Then we're gonna
then, yeah,
have
we'll
a
have to pump the
discussion.
brakes at some point,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
And a change that was made was number 13, and that deals with insurance, so we've just updated that to what our standard amounts are for insurance, and RUD more than meets those, and we've been provided their certificates of insurance. And number 16 then on page 12, that's where it gets to establishing the amount of payment. So a monthly payment would be $11,700 for residential service, and that's at $13 for 900 customers. But the contracted amount does not vary by customers when it varies month to month. The contracted amount's $11,700, and then during the 6 summer months there where the campground is in operation, we would add $1,000 to that. Total annual payment $146,400.
I've heard quite a bit of discussion, pro and con on this, the rates and the bags. And, you know, there's elderly, retired, budgeted people that are complaining, and they're the ones that are gonna be affected, you know, if they only put it out currently at 2-3 times a month. But I tried to explain to them, you know, with the rate increase and eliminating the bags, and that would pretty much even out. You know, the elderly are the ones that are gonna be affected a little bit more. But I've heard more pros on it than I have the cons,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, the way we figured out the numbers, a family of like 5 is probably gonna save money doing it this way, but you're absolutely right, the ones that are gonna feel it are your elderly that only put out a bag every other week or whatever it is.
3 weeks or whatever.
Right.
And the people who have summer homes here that aren't here all winter long still gotta pay.
And they're helping us spread out the cost.
Truck
at
goes
that
by
end.
every day.
Right.
So they gotta
They're
pay.
the ones that can afford it though.
Okay, so, just wanna point out number 17, the contract would be a 5-year contract. Starts on December 1st of this year, runs through November 30 of 27. And then 18, then after December 1st of 25, the contractor would have the right to request that the fees be considered, be renegotiated after 3 years. So, on number 17, about the contract start date, and we've seen this already this morning, Robbie, about folks who are already not using garbage bags.
Yep. Already ran into it.
It was in the
So,
paper.
it was in the paper, and they think it starts right away.
Yep.
So, as of this morning, you left the garbage bags, right?
Yep.
And what's your thoughts about what to do here? And
As far as my thoughts,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me. I mean, you guys can start it whenever you want. I know you had a bunch of bags you were gonna try to sell, but it don't make
We have-
much difference on my end.
we have a few bags. But I would really like a council decision on this, because we will hear about it from now till the 1st of December.
Do we need to put something in the paper saying that this contract doesn't start until December 1st, so the bags are still required?
If that's gonna be policy, we will follow through with that and we'll implement it as such. And,
And I think there was,
that was gonna be our intention, was to start on the 1st of
Right.
December.
I think there was 3 or 4, maybe 5 at the very most. So, I mean, it's not like we're talking half the town didn't have bags. It was just a handful.
Yeah.
But that's
But-
this time, what about?
Right, oh yeah, absolutely. Next time their neighbors, then they're, oh yeah, it'll
Oh,
spread
you don't
fast.
need those anymore,
Right.
okay, I'll
Oh, yeah.
put this out.
And we're gonna get money back for them,
Yep.
maybe.
We're gonna have that discussion, yeah. With that, the remainder of the contract, I would tell you, is basically their 1995 contract, we utilized the same language on it, and then we just added stuff to it, so. Went through this with Ruds, everything has been addressed as far as any concerns. I'm happy with the form of the contract, everything looks pretty good, be up to the council.
So on the bag situation, are we allowing them to put the other ones out, or they have to use the other ones till the 1st?
We were gonna talk about that after we pass the resolution.
Okay.
We're muddying the water, we just won't move on with this.
Muddy the water?
Well, I would suggest we do the resolution first, then we'll talk about it
Okay.
after we get to 13, how's that?
You need a motion to
Yes,
approve?
need a motion.
I'll make it.
Second.
Roll call.
All right, Moeller,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we have to have an ordinance to do our garbage rates.
Yeah, so very simple ordinance, it just does away with the solid waste container fee, which charges $2 for each one of the bags. Makes the base fee $19.50. You see that a base fee is assessed for each unit of a single-family or multifamily dwelling receiving residential electric service. So that's how we determine who gets charged and what. Because, so if you have a residential electric meter, you're gonna get charged for garbage.
Is there a motion to approve 524?
I'll make it.
Second.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Moeller,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Congratulations. But don't go, we're not done with the buyback yet.
Okay.
Now we're talking about the buyback of the garbage bags, if that's what the council wants to do.
yeah, so the question here is whether the council would like to buy back bags. And the corollary is to know for sure that we want to continue to utilize bags until 1st of December, which I think we do, so long as the council is supportive of that, because it angers some people when they would put these bags, the regular old bags out now thinking they'd get picked up and their trash is left. That angers people. But I guess I would still suggest that we would do that.
Can we post public notices?
Do some public notices and do the Facebook post, and can send out a special notice to all of our newsletter subscribers, that type of stuff, our e-newsletter.
I Guess I would suggest that we've got a contract till 1st of December, and we just will try and honor that as much as possible and use what bags we can before we start buying back. And I would suggest we buy them back, because if you stick some customer with a whole roll and they're only gonna use 2, you know, that last week of November.
Sure. And that'll happen, I'm sure there's a lot of folks for which that would happen. There's a handful of people around town who, when they buy bags, they'd buy $100 of bags at a time.
Right.
So there'll be a handful of people who have 4 rolls of bags out there.
Right.
If this is something the council wants to do, I am gonna request that you would at least, allow us to have some cash on hand to pay for these. Because, don't wanna certainly have to cut a check to people, just that we would keep a ledger of folks who came in to return their bags, and that we would have a special envelope of money for garbage bags and would account for it through that.
Can we use the bags that we get returned, use them in the parks department, or?
Sure, we can use them just as garbage bags.
Yeah, I mean, something for the city that would,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, our outside garbage bags that we use in our
They're pretty
public trash cans, I think, are a lot thicker and
Yeah.
better quality than what these are, but,
We don't have any money in the budget to buy them back, but it isn't gonna be that high. How much money is it? Couple
What-
$1,000?
what I'm gonna ask you of the council is that we could always keep $500 on hand to be able to do that, and when we start to get low, we'd replenish it back up to $500.
You need a motion, or you're just gonna do that?
No, but we should have a motion to buy back bags if you wanna do that.
Do you wanna put a deadline date for when they can return them by? I mean, you don't wanna do this forever.
That's an important
July.
discussion though,
Thank you,
because,
Dale.
because we're also gonna have a whole slew of seasonal folks who are gone for the season, they'll come
Right.
back in the spring and have these bags that they don't need to use. So, otherwise, just make that decision, but otherwise I just suggest maybe the first of the year would be a cutoff.
Or how long are you thinking?
Just till January 1st, we would just
Just buy them back till January 1st?
Just buy 'em back
What
till
about the
January 1st.
campers that are already gone, or cabin people, I should say?
Other than the ones that can afford it.
That is what they say.
I didn't bring it up, I'm just.
You can turn that to June 1st then if you, but,
I would say till June 1st myself. I mean,
At least it wouldn't ruffle as many feathers. We need a motion to have $500 on hand, plus buy the bags back until June 1st.
let's make it June 30th. That's the
Okay.
end of our year.
That would be a motion from you then, Mike?
That's a motion, yes. Make a
Second?
motion to buy them back till June 30th.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
okay, Frank?
Yes.
Moller?
Yes.
Thank you.
yes,
So, yeah, that we would authorize to have $500 on hand to be able to do this.
And then periodically, we'll have an accounting of what's in this cash fund, what you bought back and that stuff.
Yeah, which we can.
Okay, Northwest Water Loop Project,
Yeah,
last item.
this has to do more with timing. And you can, on page 15 was that letter about the location of the fire hydrant. And really, 2 numbers in there, in order to put a fire hydrant there north of the school that would feed from the new line put in west of the school, 25 to 30,000 for that fire hydrant there. But if you wanted to look at continuing through and looping that water line over to Jackson Street, $20,000 to $25,000. So, really looking for any feedback about that fire hydrant. I think everybody seemed to be on board that we were certainly going to put a fire hydrant there. It's just a question of whether you wanted to have that loop to Jackson Street or not.
We should do it, shouldn't we? Get water from both sides.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Continuous a loop
Yeah.
would be a better option than a dead end
Dead
loop.
end's no good. Gotta be a loop.
Loop to Jackson.
We gotta have a fire hydrant, that's a no-brainer.
yeah.
So, yeah,
We never use it.
we can do that. Flip back into your memo on page, that's the very last point on page 3. this just starts to lay out the timeline for that Evapco project. But then the question is, do you wanna bid this same time as that Evapco project? And I guess my comment to you is, if we can stay with the same bid timeline that's listed in here, we would do as we had talked originally. We wanted to get the Evapco bid let and quote this out right afterwards and know who the successful bidder is. Okay? If something were to happen and we're not able to stay on this timeline with Evapco, we may want to turn around and get this quoted out quicker and be able to continue on with that project.
Have you gotten anywhere with the engineer as far as getting that timeline moved up for the Evapco project instead of December 1st of next year?
We've had those discussions, and we're still working then with the EDA grant funder folks on that. And we're gonna need their blessing on the plans and the timeline on that. That's where we're sitting right now, is still working with them. We have not heard back from them.
Is it affecting Evapco's production or anything out there as far as not having the water?
They certainly want the water as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You know, it's, as far as them being able to move into a new facility, they haven't said that it stops that from happening.
Okay.
But they certainly they need it there as quickly as possible.
Right.
They're working in the new building now. That's what I was told by Evapco.
Sure.
I didn't know if it was affecting their insurance by not having adequate fire protection or...
No, they didn't say that, they just reiterated they'd like it as soon as they could, and so would we.
Oh, yeah.
We have to jump through all the hoops.
Okay, well, again, I'm gonna have them prepare these plans for the Northwest Loop to include that loop to Jackson, and make sure that those plans are ready to go to bid at the same time, basically, as the Evapco plans.
Dave, do you want to get an opinion after or now on the Reglan?
On the what?
On the Reglan property?
I guess I would suggest we discuss that.
Okay, well, anything else? Otherwise, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second? Meeting adjourned. I want to thank Rudd Sanitation for everything they do.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
guys.
Never heard
no
any
complaints.
Perfect. We're gonna keep it that way too.
Yeah, I have to be sure you're all.
I can check this off my bucket list. I finally seen a meeting all the way to the end.
We appreciate that.
Move
Come
up.
to town and you can get on this committee.
Oh, see you guys later. Here you go.
Enjoy the.
See you, Jeff.
See ya.